Hey everyone, Donna here. I am not a hairdresser, okay? Not a hairdresser, and it's going to become even more apparently clear that I'm not a hairdresser in a couple seconds. All right, so what happened? For the past 2 years or so, I would say that I might have hair that could be described as like quite long, yeah? And I would say the last year or so, I have started trimming the ends a teeny tiny bit myself every few months. Emphasis on teeny tiny bit, more on that in this video here. However, yesterday I parted and styled my hair for a trim in the same way that I've been doing, but I miscalculated something along the way, and long story short, I ended up cutting off way more hair than I had wanted or had planned to. Snip, 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 gone. And I stood there holding the hair in my hand and I was like, this is actually quite a bit of hair, huh? But not too alarming yet. Then I threw the hair away and I took my hair out of the hair bands and flipped it around, which is when I started to realize like, oh, wow, actually, quite a bit of hair is gone, huh? And then I blow dried my hair, which as you might know, it gets shorter when it's dry. And I looked in the mirror and that's when the realization started to set in of what I had actually done, one, of just how much hair I had actually lobbed off in all of 30 seconds, just snip, gone. And two, that it was very, very much uneven, very unevenly cut and not at all framing my face anymore. I felt like it was just kind of hanging there. Totally uneven. Huge chunk of hair gone. I just stood there looking in front of the mirror. I did purposefully curl it today for this video so you can't see how uneven it is, but I'll show you now. Like the front, some sections are longer than the side piece. Anyway, yeah. So I stood there looking in front of the mirror and I felt my heart start to pick up, start to race in my chest. And I thought, okay, what should I do? I'll put my hair in a ponytail. I thought that would be the best course of action so I can distract myself from it. But anyone who has gone from even longer hair to like a little bit shorter hair knows the act of putting your hair up has a particular feel to it, right? And me putting my hair up just made me realize all the more how much hair was gone. My hair felt so different in my hands, and my hair bands, my hair elastics felt too big and stretched out for my hair, and the amount of hair that hung down from the ponytail felt alarmingly shorter than before. And before I knew it, there I was staring at myself in the mirror, knee deep in the feeling of panic. Panic is the word that I use to describe it, to describe this feeling of when I feel like suddenly my blood is just rushing into my head. That's what it feels like. It feels like my heart is pounding super fast. I can hear my heartbeat in my ears super loud, so loud that I feel like I can barely hear anything else that's going on around me. And yet, at the same time, I also feel like everything that's going on around me sounds really incredibly uncomfortably loud. I feel like time is suddenly moving extremely slowly and yet also rushing by me really fast. I feel lost and I feel like I can't think straight, and yet I also feel like my thoughts are moving at warp speed all around my brain. My mouth goes dry while basically I feel like the whole rest of my body gets really damp. I feel like I can't get enough air, and yet I also feel like I'm breathing really hard. Now, like how when you worry about something or when you have anxiety or a fear, it's not necessarily rational, right? Like just because something is not rational, in quotes there, doesn't mean that it stops us from worrying about it. Like, for example, someone who's afraid of flying. You can tell them all day long that statistically speaking, getting into a car is actually way more dangerous than getting into a plane, but often that doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? Like when it comes to anxiety, when it comes to worries, when it comes to fear, it doesn't really matter if it's rational or not. So I know that my feelings of panic after cutting my hair and it not turning out so good yesterday don't have to have a rational reason to them. But still, I wanted to get to the bottom of it anyway, and I wanted to try to figure out what all was there. What had sent my heart racing? What had triggered that reaction? Because rationally, I know, Hair grows back. And I also know that I am more than just my hair anyway. And I have had lots of different haircuts in the past. So I wanted to know, like, what gives here? Why the panic? So I went for a swim in Lake Me, and the realization that I came to is quite eye-opening. So this is what I wrote down in the midst of my feelings of panic yesterday. I have edited it a little bit for better comprehension, but basically these are the thoughts and feelings that I jotted down yesterday. I made the decision to cut my hair this morning. I've cut my hair several times before, but this was the most hair ever. Every other time, my hair still framed my face afterwards, but this time, I don't like it. This time I feel like my hair is wearing me now rather than me wearing my hair. I look in the mirror and I don't like how it looks. This triggers a lot of panic and worry and fear inside of me because as much as I have been working hard to try to move myself away from it, I have grown up learning to put a lot of value on how I look as a very important part of not just my life, but also who I am as a person. I grew up in this society learning to define myself and learning that others will define me too by how I look. I grew up learning to place a lot of value that I have of myself on how I look. Here's the thing. From a rational perspective, I understand that how I look is a lot more than just my hair. But to me, my hair is actually a really big part of how I look. And while I really, really, really wish that I did not care so much about how I look at all, as I said, I grew up getting the message over and over and over again that how I look is a very important thing about me. Perhaps the most important thing about me. That's the message that I've gotten over and over again. I got this message indirectly from so many things around me, movies, TV shows, advertisements, magazines, and sometimes directly. In my teenage years, I can remember and I can pick out exact instances of people, adults, telling me that my looks are one of, if not the most important thing about me, that how I look is one of, if not the most important thing about me as a person. My haircut is not the problem. The problem is that I've grown up being made to believe that how I look is what gives me worth as a person in this world, that my hair and how I look in general is what gives me value as a person is the problem. And it is that made me panicked, not my haircut. We as a society tell women and girls that their looks are very much a central part of their value and their worth in this world. And when I cut off my hair and then I looked in the mirror and I did not like it, I was not upset about the hair per se. I was upset because I no longer felt like I had worth. In that second, when I looked in the mirror and I saw what I had done to my hair, I did not feel like I had worth. As ridiculous as this sounds, and believe me, I know this sounds ridiculous, but that's how I felt in that moment when the panic kicked in, when the feelings of panic, that's why they came. Not because of the haircut, but because I felt like I had less value. I stood there looking in the mirror and I started imagining somewhere back in my head, like not consciously really, but I started imagining my friends. It's hard to say out loud, but valuing me less. Yeah. I imagined my viewers on my channel valuing me less. I imagined the world caring less about what I had to say now, because we tell women and girls in this world that what they have to say is only important if they look good while saying it. We in our society tells them that. I have taken that message in so many different ways, that what I have to say only matters to this world if I say it while trying my damnedest to look as good as possible. So I was crying and I was panicked because from one second to the next, I felt like I had less value as a person. And that is so fucked up. Like, that is, holy shit. There are not enough swear words in this world to describe how fucked up that is. And I'm not saying that like 2 hours later, I continued to feel like I didn't have that value, but definitely in that moment, what caused the panic was not my haircut, but it was the feeling of like, okay, I tied my hair up in my looks, and I grew up learning that my looks are an essential part of having worth, having value. I'm telling you, I've had people tell me to my face directly that that's the important thing about me, how I look. And yeah, so that's where the panic came from. Not the haircut, but from feeling like I had just lost value, which is why I am so freaking glad that I decided to cut my hair yesterday. Do I suddenly like my hair now? No, not really. It's still quite uneven and shorter than expected. But through it, I have realized once again just how much work I still need to do on fixing things from the inside out. And I see yet again just how damaging it is for our society to place so much importance on freaking looks. I am not how I look. That is not me. And the people who have directly or indirectly told me otherwise over the years need to sit down and unpack their own baggage of why they think looks are so important. I clearly still have a lot of work to do to get to a healthy place when it comes to this topic. I think that is clear from this video here. I think it's clear from this video here. I think it's clear from what I said in this video here, but I am working on it. And I hope that by talking about it in videos like this, maybe it will help someone else out there who is going through something similar. We as humans are so much more than how we look. You are more than how you look. If there is anyone out there who needs to hear that, you are. You are more than how you look. And if you think you are alone with this, you're not. I'm not alone with this. Just watch this video up here and see that there are so many other people going through this same kind of thing. If you haven't watched this video from the Being a Woman series, please, please, please go and watch it. Please go and watch this video. So my question for you is, what have been your experiences with this kind of thing? Have you ever cried when getting a haircut? Or after getting a haircut, or before getting a haircut? Please let me know in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. For more content, you can check me out over on Instagram. My Instagram stories are usually in German with usually little English subtitles as well. And a really, really, really big thank you so much to our patrons on Patreon who help make these videos possible. Your support is so appreciated. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you very much. If you would like to check out our Patreon page, you can find a link to that down in the description box below. Until next time, auf Wiedersehen!